We are now live on Facebook. Sandra, you're on.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our members and friends. I'm Sandra Rand, and it's my great privilege to serve as chair of Landmarks Illinois' Board of Directors. And welcome to our first virtual annual meeting. I'm sure we all want to thank our exceptional staff for all their efforts to master the Zoom technology and for convening this virtual meeting in such a short time. Although we really regret not being with you in person, this platform has allowed more of you to participate from all corners of the state, and for that we are grateful. We also miss being with you in historic places, the places where we come together in community with each other. They are often symbolic landmarks that orient us, and it feels like we need that orientation now more than ever. These places will be an important aspect of our state's economic recovery. They will be where we invest, where jobs are created, and where we can reconnect. Through advocacy, education, technical assistance, grant making, and revolving loans, we're providing the needed tools that help preservation remain relevant. This is our work. This is our commitment. This is who we are. People saving places for people. We thank you all for making our vital work and its important results actually possible. Our board members know that I'm committed to starting and ending meetings on time. So with that, let us begin the business meeting and the agenda at hand. I hereby call the 49th Annual Landmarks Illinois Business Meeting to order. Landmarks Illinois is governed by a volunteer board of up to 37 members who ensure that we fulfill our values and achieve our strategic vision to help people save places for people. Today, we ask our members to elect an impressive and expansive slate of candidates that will continue to provide the strong and sound governance that have characterized this organization since 1971. This year's Board Development Committee was guided by the leadership of Board Vice Chair Gary Anderson. The committee was comprised of 11 volunteers, including members of the board and the Skyline Council, as well as staff, to bring forth this talented slate of members. Thank you for utilizing your networks to find such qualified candidates for us to consider. The slate of candidates and their biographical statements have been on our website for your review since June 1st. The website also included information on how members could nominate a board candidate for consideration. We, however, did not receive any new candidate names from the membership, so the slate of candidates stands as presented. The following slate represents members for renomination to the board. For election for their second two-year term, Erica Block of Glencoe, Katie Kim of Peoria, Erica Meyer of Chicago, Kathleen Swain of Chicago, Cheryl Thomas of Chicago, and Christy Weber of Chicago. The next slate is for newly nominated board members. For election to their first two-year term are Bob Eskbach, of Ottawa, after serving a partial term, Mike Jackson of Springfield, Mary Otteson of Montgomery, after serving a partial term, Emilio Padilla of Berwyn, Terry Salas of Lansing, Michigan, Steve Schneider of Deerfield, after serving a partial term, Allison Tunin Tulama of Chicago, Alex Walking of Chicago, after serving a special term. Nominating Committee Chair Gary Anderson submitted a motion to approve this slate of candidates as presented, and member Bonnie McDonnell has seconded. Members of Landmarks in Illinois in good standing, which means that your annual membership dues are current, are now asked to vote on the slate of candidates by responding to the poll that you will see on your screen. By clicking yes, no, or abstain. Please vote now. You will notice there are two slates that you will be voting on. You must scroll down to see the full portion of the second slate. We'll pause for about 30 seconds to allow all of you to vote so that we can calculate those votes as well. We will also be sharing the results on the screen of your voting effort. Once you've completed your voting, if necessary, you will click the X to get out of the window completely, but at the end of the vote, you should see a submit button, which will take your votes live. All the votes are in and have been tabulated. It looks like the yeses have it. Thank you so much. Welcome to all of our new members and returning board members. For the information of our members, the Landmarks Illinois Board of Directors approved the following officers at the May 26th special meeting. As Chair, Sandra Rand, Vice Chair, Gary Anderson, President and CEO, Bonnie McDonald, General Counsel, Kathleen Swain, Secretary Lee Brown, Treasurer, Frida Ireland. And we would not be the stellar organization that we are without our smart and dynamic board of directors. This year, 6 of our board members will be departing after dedicated years of service. These particular board members have contributed immensely to the success and operations of our organization, and we will be extremely disappointed to see them leave. Michael Altheimer is just completing his first 2-year term. Sadly for us, Michael's entrepreneurial development and construction work has made it impossible for him to juggle both his professional duties and board service. We thank Michael, however, for having lent his expertise to our reinvestment committee and the executive committee. Joe Antunovich. It's hard to put into words the incredible impact our pal Joe has had on Landmarks Illinois. He is finishing his 3rd 6-year term. For 2 of those years, he brought his exceptional leadership skills to his role as chair of the board. Joe has been a part of nearly every important preservation success we've had for over the past 25 years, including saving the Farnsworth House, the Michigan Avenue street wall, and the old Cook County Hospital. He's generous to a fault, and his firm has donated thousands of hours to create renderings and reuse studies. In the midst of his volunteer service, this legendary landmark himself found time to actively participate on our executive committee and be our special secret weapon on the LLC committee. It is impossible to think of this organization without Joe, so believe me when I tell you, we will not let Mr. Marvelous go far. Ari Glass has served on the board of directors for the last 6 years. He joined the board after helping Landmarks Illinois host the largest RBIC event ever. It was held at the then newly restored Wrigley Building, which was his project at Zeller Realty. Ari also made time to ably serve on the Finance Committee and the Real Estate and Building Industries Council Subcommittee. Jeff Gillette is also finishing his first 6-year term. Jeff was recommended to the board for his personal interest in classical architecture and his design work in adaptive reuse. During his tenure, he was actively engaged as the chair of the Preservation Fund and Easement Committee. No easy task. Jeff also participated in a meaningful way on the Executive Committee, Board Development Committee, and the RBIC Subcommittee. Peter Limburger is just finishing his first year on the board. Unfortunately, as a result of the pandemic, he must concentrate his focus on his business interests, which require him to resign from the board. We are so grateful to Peter for his engagement and knowledgeable input on the Finance Committee, and definitely look forward to reconnecting with him in other ways in the future. Elle Ramel is completing her first term on the board. It is with great regret that Elle must resign from the board as well, but this time it's for a good reason. She was just appointed the Chicago Director of Gender Equality in Tech Cities, which is a Melinda Gates pivotal ventures company. This new position takes Elle away from preservation for a while, but we know she'll continue to personally engage with us and support our work. We thank Elle for her insightful contributions as a member of the Executive Committee. I want to thank you all for the indelible mark you leave on this organization from your years of service and your leadership. We truly hope that you will consider joining our Emeritus Board and continue to lend your wisdom and talent to Landmarks Illinois. This concludes my portion of the business presentation. And now let me introduce our esteemed president, Bonnie McDonald, to provide us with her annual report.
Thank you, Sandra. Members and friends, I look forward to the annual meeting because it's my opportunity to show you what we were able to do together. You are a part of every effort and success that I'll mention. I'm framing my presentation today in the context of our organizational values, which are the framework for why and how we operate. You can see those values up on your screen. I'm just giving a few organizational highlights today. You'll also be able to access our full annual report on our website at landmarks.org. Since we describe our work as people saving places for people, I want to start with the projects that we believe furthered our value for empowering people and improving lives. I want to recognize the significant work of the Skyline Council of Landmarks Illinois, our Young Professionals Committee, to broaden partnerships and engage with new audiences to build a more inclusive preservation movement. For example, their 2019 Summer Mixer was held in collaboration with partners including Arquitectos, the International Concrete Repair Institute Incorporated, the Illinois National Organization of Minority Architects, and the Structural Engineers Association of Illinois. Landmarks Illinois' pandemic response has also focused on people because we believe that people are at the core of preservation. In addition to canceling our annual Most Endangered Historic Places list and launching the My Sacred Ground social media campaign, we combined our remaining grant funds to create the one-time COVID-19 Organization Relief Fund. 94 organizations applied, demonstrating the significant need for emergency funding around the state. We were proud to award 13 organizations engaged in preservation across Illinois grants of $2,000 to support their continued operations. Protests over the death of George Floyd demand that our work be dedicated to breaking down systems of racism and injustice and ensuring equity in preservation. On June 4th, we released a statement in solidarity with the protesters that can be found on our website, again, at landmarks.org. We are committed to addressing biases and inequities in our own work as we support community recovery. We've begun with projects such as our work with the owner of the National Historic Landmark Oscar Stanton DePriest House in Chicago's Bronzeville neighborhood to bring needed financial resources to its maintenance. Our work continues by prioritizing grant funds to support people preserving places of Black history and culture on Chicago's South Side. This new grant fund is named in honor of civil rights activist, teacher, author, and veteran Timuel D. Black Jr. to help preserve his sacred ground. We value sharing knowledge. Our educational programming helps people discover more about the historic places they care about and how to preserve and reuse them. Educating elected officials about the value of preservation is vital. We were pleased to organize congressional visits by a robust group of advocates during Preservation Advocacy Week to Washington, D.C. This included members of our Skyline Council, our Emeritus Board, our Louis Sullivan Society, and our staff. In addition to educating elected officials, we also provide resources to historic building owners. Mississippi River communities in Southern Illinois experienced the second worst flooding on record in June of 2019. we joined architects, structural engineers, and representatives of the State Historic Preservation Office in Elsa and Chautauqua last summer to meet with elected officials, homeowners, as well as business owners. The goal was to determine how best to mitigate damage and protect historic structures from worsening flooding disasters due to climate change. At its foundation, preservation is an act of stewardship. We help people steward the places that will tell our individual and collective stories for generations to come. Landmarks Illinois is celebrating one of our biggest wins, and that is the adaptive reuse of Chicago's historic Cook County Hospital opening in July as Harrison Square. We spent 19 years fighting for this building and the stories it tells about the just treatment of Chicago immigrants, people of low income, as well as early HIV and AIDS patients. The hospital now houses 2 Hyatt hotels, medical office space, a daycare, a food hall, and a museum due to the visionary developer John Murphy of Murphy Development, Walsh Construction, and the many contractors responsible for its transformation. We forged a partnership this year with the Museum of Food and Drink, otherwise known as MoFad, in Brooklyn, New York, to use the Ebony Test Kitchen. Now, you may remember that Landmarks Illinois and the Skyline Council deconstructed the kitchen last year from its home in the Johnson Publishing Company building in Chicago as it was about to be destroyed. MoFad responded to our national request for proposals and will display the kitchen as part of a traveling national exhibit about the contributions African Americans have made to food culture. It will be on display soon at the Africa Center in Manhattan. Part of stewardship can be local designation. Lisa DiChiara, our Director of Advocacy, worked to shepherd 2 new Chicago landmark districts this year. She worked with local residents in the Tri-Taylor neighborhood to designate the Claremont Cottage Historic District on the 1000 South Block of Claremont, protecting its unique Queen Anne-style workers' cottages. Landmarks Illinois also hired noted architectural historian Terry Tatum to write a designation report that led to the new Near North Side Multiple Property Historic District, which landmarked 15 post-fire buildings in Streeterville. And when Terry became ill, he helped us enlist his mentee, Matt Wickland, to complete the project. Terry was working with us on several other projects up until just days before his passing on January 31st, and we miss him greatly. Sometimes the only solution that can be reached is to move a building. The Frank Lloyd Wright designed Booth Cottage in Glencoe was included on our 2019 Most Endangered list. To prevent destruction by its new owner, the building was recently moved to a public park with the help of a $2,500 grant from our Preservation Heritage Fund. Lisa worked with the Glencoe Historical Society and the Frank Lloyd Wright Building Conservancy to develop this solution. There were similar plans to move the 168-year-old Whitney Schoolhouse in Campton Hills to guarantee its safety. However, through the tireless work of the Skyline Council, the building is staying in place as part of a new community park and with a brand new foundation. Our work also ensures preservation laws are upheld. In Freeport, Frank Butterfield, the director of our Springfield office, was instrumental in having the demolition contract rescinded for the historic Oakdale Tabernacle owned by the Park District there, while they consult with the State Historic Preservation Office. Our multi-partner lawsuit to prevent demolition of the Rock Island County Courthouse continues as we await the state appellate court's decision. Our lawsuit seeks to uphold the Illinois State Agency Historic Resources Preservation Act. We are hoping for a positive ruling as we continue to work with those who would reuse the building. At Landmarks Illinois, we're always striving to innovate, to find better, more creative, and even more effective ways to help people save places for people. And there are 2 projects that I want to mention specifically. First is Lisa DiChiara's effort to ensure that women are equitably represented in design history. There are no local landmarks in Chicago designed by women, despite their many contributions to our built environment. With several partners, Lisa launched the Women Who Built Illinois survey in recognition of this being the Year of the Woman. Feel free to send us names of women designers, engineers, contractors, and developers from your community, and that's from communities across the state, to include in this survey, which will be uploaded to our website. And finally, the work that I feel is most important and exciting at Landmarks Illinois is our preparations for our 50th anniversary in 2021. We are taking this as a mandate to look forward and to evolve into the preservation organization of the future, one that will be relevant over the next 50 years, as we have been since our founding in 1971. We've created a task force of diverse voices and perspectives to act as a think tank and to take on difficult conversations that we need to have about preservation practice. I look forward to bringing you our manifesto that will guide Landmarks Illinois' future and hopefully influence the preservation movement by the next annual meeting. I hope this annual review makes you proud to be a part of our effective and innovative organization. Preservation is about the power of people using the power of their voice, their vote, and their resources to stand up for a place that's important to them. Now, people are also the power behind Landmarks Illinois, and that is our incredible staff. My 8 fellow colleagues deserve special recognition and a great big virtual round of applause. I assure you that they are the most dedicated professionals that you would ever meet. They work tirelessly pursuing our mission, impact, and our values. Congratulations to you all for what you have made possible this year. Now, though we expect a financially challenging year to come, due to the recession, Landmarks Illinois is maintaining our existing level of operations, our grant making, and our staffing. We know our stakeholders need us now more than ever to ensure that preservation is a part of our community's economic recovery. If you are one of the fortunate people that has extra financial resources at this time, I ask you to consider increasing your giving to Landmarks Illinois to support our vital work. Now, we want to show you more of that vital work that we are doing statewide. I'm proud to introduce Frank Butterfield, Director of our Springfield office, who has prepared a short video to illustrate just 2 of his 50 ongoing projects. So please stay tuned as Julie loads the video, and thank you very much. All right, everybody, we knew that there might be a couple of technical difficulties, though I assure you we have practiced many, many times. So for all of you, as Julie's working on loading this really wonderful video, I did want to say that, you know, we have really tried to navigate the ins and outs of Zoom, and I'm sure you've been on lots of Zoom meetings where something goes wrong, but we're trying to fix it as quickly as possible. So just a note for you, a couple notes about Zoom, if you haven't used it very much today, is that if you have questions for us, all you have to do is go down to the chat feature on your homepage there and send us a question. So thankfully, we have Frank Butterfield, as I said, Director of our Springfield office, as well as Tiffany Williams, our events manager, stepping in to answer your questions today. And we'll take questions, of course, on the technical side of Zoom, but also anything that you heard in Sandra's presentation, as well as my presentation. As I said, these are just a few of the highlights of the many things that we have done this year. And we will be getting you an annual report on our website very soon. Let's try that video again.
Hello, welcome to Springfield. I'm Frank Butterfield, Director of Landmarks Illinois' Springfield office. I'm here in front of the old state capitol, home to my office and the State Historic Preservation Office. This historic site is where Abraham Lincoln served in the state legislature and gave his House Divided speech. This past year, Landmarks Illinois answered calls and emails from nearly 100 communities and traveled over 7,000 miles throughout the state. We help people in cities like Rock Island, Moline, and Champaign-Urbana, and have been a key resource to towns with fewer than 1,000 people, like Bishop Hill, Elsa, and Makanda. Today, I'm going to share 2 short advocacy stories from this past year. The first centers on the historic downtown right here in Springfield. The past several years have seen the opening of Hair of the Dog Barbershop and the expansion of the coffee shop Custom Cup into an adjacent storefront, quadrupling its space. These businesses and many others set up shop in the historic downtown near Springfield establishments like the Sangamo Club and J.P. Kelly's. Instead of building upon this investment, a plan to bring 2 universities downtown would mean these businesses would either close or relocate as their buildings would be demolished. Since the 1970s, Springfield has been home to a state university, now the University of Illinois Springfield, in the southeast part of the city, as well as the Southern Illinois University School of Medicine in the medical district just north of downtown. In late 2019, details emerged of a new proposal to create a significant downtown presence of both UIS and SIU School of Medicine using state funding. Behind the proposal was an economic development partnership of local governments and area business leaders. In short, the concept was to demolish 4 city blocks in the historic downtown to provide space for new university construction. The 4 blocks in question are conveniently situated between the Illinois State Capitol building and the old state capitol. They also overlap with the Downtown National Register Historic District and include 17 designated historic buildings. Several of the business owners within the area, realizing that their buildings, businesses, and livelihoods were in jeopardy, reached out to Landmarks Illinois for assistance. From the meetings that followed, a coalition formed: Landmarks Illinois, Stacy Fingston of AIA Illinois, Lisa Clemenstadt of the Main Street organization Downtown Springfield Incorporated, and Scott Traylor of Downtown Springfield Heritage Foundation. We set out to make our argument to the public. In January, we published a letter in the daily and alt-weekly newspapers, as well as the Business Journal. We argued that planning efforts should prioritize repurposing historic buildings and converting vacant lots into new landmarks. We turned to the city's own planning documents, which provided a voice of authority to what most Springfield residents already knew. The walkability and historic character of downtown are assets. And block after block is pocked with parking lots, vacant lots, and more parking lots. Three years ago, Springfield demolished the local landmark and National Register listed YWCA building with the goal of redevelopment. And today, the 2.4-acre city-owned block remains vacant. To illustrate the problem clearly, we created a map of all parking lots and vacant lots within about a quarter mile of the proposed demolition area, shaded in yellow. With this graphic, the idea that Springfield needed to tear down existing buildings to make space for new ones did not withstand public scrutiny. We explained to both residents and city leaders that we welcome a multi-million-dollar investment in downtown, but Springfield has the space to accommodate new construction without demolishing existing assets. Noting the potential benefits of a university presence in downtown, our coalition offered resources to promote building reuse and new construction integrating into the existing neighborhood. In February, we began meeting with university leaders and Senator Andy Manar. We provided case studies, maps, and planning documents. AIA Illinois facilitated a design charrette by Canon Design, and local preservation architects created design concepts for building reuse and new construction. By March, UIS and SIU distanced themselves from the demolition concept and in public meetings stated their commitment to integrate into the downtown. While planning has been put on hold during the pandemic, our coalition secured a place at the table to protect the future of our vibrant, historic downtown. Downtown Springfield is where the community comes together, and the local businesses and historic buildings help make it special. Thankfully, during the pandemic, the coffee shop Custom Cup has remained open for pickup, and I'm eager to get back into the barbershop Hair of the Dog someday soon. Now, we're going to head north on Route 66 to downtown Bloomington. Late last summer, calls flooded into Landmarks, Illinois after State Farm announced plans to demolish its Art Deco office building in the heart of downtown Bloomington. Designed in 1929 by Archie Schaefer and Philip Hooton, the 162-foot-tall building is listed in the National Register of Historic Places as part of Bloomington's downtown historic district. The building served as State Farm's headquarters until the opening of a new campus in 1974, but workers for the insurance company occupied it until 2018, when the company announced its intention to sell the building. After a potential sale fell through, State Farm decided to demolish its former headquarters instead. Within days, we formed the Save Our State Farm Building Committee, a group of community leaders, business owners, and residents working to save the historic building. We made the case that before spending millions of dollars to create a vacant lot, the insurance company should consult the public and elected officials on other options. Basically, we called on State Farm to be a good neighbor. We highlighted the opportunity to improve economic activity, to protect the environment through reuse, and to reinvest in a historic and cultural landmark. To build public support, the committee partnered with the downtown event First Fridays on an interactive art experience. Working with local artists and a museum educator, visitors made prints based on the terracotta ornamentation of the State Farm building. Our message resonated. We reached a broad audience through the daily newspaper, the public radio station, the Illinois State University newspaper, and through Landmarks Illinois' emails and social media posts. The public campaign and press coverage caught the attention of Urban Equity Properties, a Rockford-based development firm focused on historic preservation. The firm bought the building in October and expects a new tenant to move in soon. The State Farm building is saved thanks to these good neighbors. Thank you for another fulfilling year of people throughout Illinois saving places for people. This work is only possible with the support of our members. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Frank and Bonnie. I know that all of us join in thanking you for your work. And I would like for us to have a nice virtual round of applause for everything that our amazing staff does and for their tireless work. I am always amazed at the amount of work that our superheroes pull off every year. The board and I couldn't be more proud of the impact you make possible. And thank you, all of you, our dedicated and generous supporters. Our impact is a direct result of your contributions to Landmarks Illinois. This includes our remarkable list of annual corporate sponsors shown on your screen. It is also my pleasure to recognize the members of our Louis Sullivan Society. Louis Sullivan Society members are those who make an annual contribution of $1,000 or more, which is a true indication of their strong support for our ongoing work. If you're interested in becoming a corporate sponsor or a Louis Sullivan Society member, or supporting a specific program you heard about today, please contact Ann Poutnett, our Director of Development and Engagement. Ann's email address is on our website at landmarks.org. We also encourage you to make a gift today, maybe to our spring appeal, or consider joining our monthly giving program. Additional information on both of these initiatives can also be found on our website. We also wanted to let you know about some upcoming events, which will also be virtual, allowing you to participate from the comfort of your own home. The Skyline Council will host its popular trivia night via Zoom on Thursday, July the 9th, and we'll be sending information soon about the virtual Richard H. Driehaus Foundation Preservation Awards taking place in October. So it is so unfortunate that we weren't able to be in the place where we had intended our tour today for the annual meeting. That was Mount Pisgah Baptist Church on Dr. Martin Luther King Drive in Chicago's Bronzeville community. This former synagogue turned church was recently designated a Chicago landmark. So please stay tuned and watch a 5-minute virtual church tour given by the pastor, Reverend Ledbetter. After that, we'll have another short virtual tour of Keller Station, an adaptive reuse project in Peoria being led by Landmarks Illinois board member, Katie Kim. Both videos are informative and we strongly encourage you to stay and watch. There being no further business, the 49th annual meeting of Landmarks Illinois is adjourned. Thank you all for joining us, for your continued support of Landmarks Illinois, and please stay safe and be well. We hope to see you soon. Now please stay tuned for the Mount Pisgah and Keller Station videos. Enjoy them both. Thank you all.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Mount Pisgah Missionary Baptist Church, one of the newest landmarks in Illinois. I am Reverend E.F. Ledbetter III. I serve as the senior pastor here at Mount Pisgah, and we want to take you on a historical journey today. Our story begins with an architect that's a former Chicago public school student by the name of Alfred Al Schuler, who built this wonderful edifice that I now stand in the year 1912 for the Chicago Sinai Reformed Jewish Synagogue. And so we are thankful that we took hold ownership in 1962, and we've been here ever since. Can't wait to explain to you a lot more of the history that has happened in this wonderful place. Come on, join us for the long ride. Welcome back. We're now in our beautiful sanctuary. As aforementioned, Alfred Al Schuler was the architect, and placement is everything. Mount Pisgah is housed in the Jazz and Blues District, known as Bronzeville. But for you historians that may be watching, this area is really not called Bronzeville, but it's called Grand Boulevard. But due to the great migration of African-American families from the South into Chicago, the city and the area of Grand Boulevard had a lot of bronze-complected people who started living in the neighborhood. That's important because this became a hub not only for jazz and blues in Brunsville, but for gospel music right here in Mount Pisgah. As we continue this conversation about historical significance, we would be remiss if we didn't mention Jane Addams and Theodore Roosevelt, both speaking from this pulpit. And also in the 60s and 70s, the birthplace of Operation Push was right here in this sanctuary. Even more significant to us in our history here at Mount Pisgah is the fact that this building, this church, was a part of Martin Luther King's civil rights movement. And Pastor Joseph Wells served as president of one of the chapters in the movement. Right from this desk, Martin Luther King's sermon, When Jesus Called a Man a Fool, was preached in August of '67. It was one of his last sermons that he preached in a church. So we're thankful for the cultural essence and history and all of the things that have happened right here in this sanctuary. Reflecting upon yesterday as our history, but what's most important to us is our present and our future. Alfred L. Schuller built this edifice for Chicago Sinai Reformed Synagogue. It's a place of worship, it was a place of education, and it was a place of recreation. Now that this neighborhood of Brunsville is predominantly African American, we still desire its original vision from Alfred L. Schuller. It's our place of worship, it's our place of education, and we hope it to be our place of recreation. So the question becomes, how can you help us? The reason that this building needs to remain open and preserved is that we do so much for this community. We have our clothing store on the lower level. We have Haven Studios, which combats inner city violence through poetry and music composition. We house Cambridge Classical Academy, K through 8. There's so many different things throughout the week and throughout the year. We try to feed the community, especially on Thanksgiving and Christmas Day. We feed over 500 people from right in this neighborhood. And so we need help finding the resources that can help us maintain this wonderful structure. Thank you, thank you, thank you for going on this short journey with us. I promise you, once you come to Mount Pisgah here on 4600 South King Drive, my wife, First Lady Latoya Ledbetter, will give you the full tour and give you all of the history. She's always excited to do so. We want to thank you for, again, watching this video, and we look forward to meeting you and partnering with you in any way, in any capacity. Thank you.
The Kim Group is proud to partner with the Peoria Park District to develop a 7-acre campus located in the heart of Peoria called Keller Station. This 7-acre campus was formerly home to Illinois Department of Transportation. It was originally built in 1935 and 36 and was for the strict purposes of the Illinois Department of Transportation headquarters. The building was occupied until 1996 when it was given over to the Park District. The Park District was able to use it for storage and some offices, however, never really fully embodying their goal and their mission of providing a place for the community to live, work, and play. So in 2020, the Kim Group and the Peoria Park District partnered to transform these warehouse and office buildings into a place for the community. We've created a coffee shop for CXT. We created Bones Burgers and Frozen Custard, Hue Salon, Hello Headbands, and a place for other small businesses to come build their business within Keller Station. We've provided also some services that the community can come and enjoy the campus and really admire the architecture. The curbside market was created during COVID-19 as a way for the businesses that weren't able to get into the development yet to provide their services and a way for the community to come together and stay socially integrated, but yet physically distanced in a safe manner. We've provided outdoor workout classes, and recently we provided a drive-in movie theater where we leverage the height of the old original historic building to have a 20 by 36 foot screen where, again, the community can come together, enjoy the architecture and the campus, and celebrate each other and the revitalization of this asset that's been long-standing vacant in our community. We are very excited for what the future holds for Keller Station and excited to share this opportunity with you.